I've got a good story for you about your pops. And, he asked me, I've been with the company, I've done many different jobs, but he asked me to, my husband was always so kind and was just like, you gotta have Abby cook for you, And so it was like one of those things where I was just like, yeah, sure, Mike, I'll cook for you. And I remember him asking me, like, do you mind just cooking a few meals for us here and there? And I was like, of course, like it was something I could do. And he goes, well, I've never had anyone kind of just cook for me at home the way you do, and he just loved it. So I was like, absolutely, on top of all the other hats that I wear and whatever. But how I got into wine too was that he started purchasing a lot of expensive, first growth, beautiful wines from France and Italy. And I remember sitting in on that meeting and being like, oh shit, like he's going to ask me to manage this, and I just go, I was like, okay, this is happening. And before that order even came in, then it was like COVID, kind of hit too. But prior to that, in 2019, right before COVID, I, obviously being the disciplined girl that is like, okay, well, if he's going to ask me to cook, I'm going to be the best home cook ever. And so I was just studying and studying and studying. And so I would study Thomas Keller and get his book, and then I would watch his master classes. And then I was like, I'm such a self-learner and driven to teach myself. And, even through my eating disorder, like how I learned how to cook was because I read recipes and I watched Martha Stewart and Barefoot Contest, and I just, because I wouldn't eat, I would, at that time, I would just learn food that way. And so I just had it was an encyclopedia. It was like learning a language. It was in my brain. And I was like, oh yeah, I know how to make this dressing and I know how to do this and I know how to sear the meat. And so then I would just do it and perform. It's like a dancer. I can perform. I can cook the food. So your dad knew my love of Thomas Keller. And I asked him last night at dinner, I go, can I share the Thomas Keller story? He's like, you have to. And it's funny because, he hosts very important people. And, I'm sitting there and I'll go around the table and I'll start pouring the wine and he'll go, I've got a great story about Abby. And so then he pulls this story out. Your dad loves to tell these great stories. The other really cool thing about him is I just think he gets a kick out of really blessing people or just like doing something that just he knows that they're going to love and that it's going to be a memory that like a core memory that they'll always have. And I think that's kind of a key thing with Discovery too, is that it's great at producing core memories for families. And anyways, so he takes me, I get an email. I'm at Whole Foods shopping for the house. And I get an email from his assistant at the office. And it's like, well, add Abby to the flight plan. And I was like, and I look at it and I go, oh no, am I going to, do I need to go help your dad on this? Or does he need me to be there with him or something like that? So it was like going up to Napa. And I go, okay, well, I said, I called her and I said, what is this? Why am I on this? And she goes, oh, you're going to the French Laundry with Mike. And I go, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And she's like, yes, you are. And she's like, he's skipping around the office telling people that he's going to take you to the French Laundry. So cool. He's so excited. And I go, no, you don't understand, Trish. I was like, I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I can't meet him. He's like an idol to me. And then I said, I can't do it. She goes, just think about it. Call me back in 10 minutes. I said, okay, I'm at the grocery store. Then I call my husband and I go, Mike wants to take me to the French Laundry. I can't go. I just can't do it. You have to. He goes, aww. Abby, he called me and he says, can Abby have a hall pass? and it was because I'm so in love with Thomas Keller. And my favorite quote of his is, cooks cook to nurture. And that's, I think, truly like kind of the heart of why I love cooking for the family and, being there. It's a great quote. Yeah, I'm just there to nurture people. And I think that's the heart of what I do. But he's like, you know, he told him, and he's like, I really want to take her up to see Thomas Keller. I just want to make sure that you're okay with it because, you know, she's really in love with him. And he's like, do it. It's fine. It'll be great or whatever. So he's like, Abby, you have to go. And I'm like, I'm not going. You don't understand. I can't go. And like the plane's leaving in a few hours because you have to go and dinner's early. And I was like, I can't go. So then I'm on the phone with my mom. Then Trisha calls me back. She goes, you don't understand. You have to go. You have to get on the plane.
Did you end up going?
Yes. But it was a tragic story. I'd cried all my makeup off. No. I had to, go to the Mac counter at like Nordstrom's or something. Oh. The best part of the story too is like I got the person I had to buy a new pair of shoes. I was wearing a dress that day, but I was wearing sneakers. So I bought a pair of designer shoes to go with my dress. and that's how my husband baited me into going. He's like, oh, you can buy whatever pair of shoes you want to get on that plane. So we go. But the girl that helped me with the shoes, she was a ballerina.
Oh, wow.
And I was always just talking like I always need these cues, But anyways, that was my cue. And so I go to the Mac counter, get my makeup on, show up to your dad, and I'm like, ready, and just nervous as hell, get up to Napa with him, and Uncle JJ's there, and they're walking in ahead of me. And I think, okay, it's going to be fine. I'm going to go sit down or whatever. But no, Thomas Keller is standing at the doorway, greeting people as they come in. So then your dad walks in, gives them a big hug. And then Uncle JJ walks in, and then your dad just like flips over and goes, and this is Abby. And I just go, I just start crying, bawling. And because it's like when you meet that idol, when you meet that person that sweet talks you, about something that you love, it's just that moment. It's like, I've met a lot of celebrities. I meet a lot of people, but that guy can just put me on my knees. And and he grabs my hand and he holds my hand and he whisks me into the back of the kitchen and gets me a glass of champagne, gets me an apron. He's like, just come tour. And I just, but I went back and he showed me the wine cylinder. I was like, okay, I have to be this good. Okay, back to the wine. But it's like, then when I knew your dad was getting, some
So you got to tour the kitchen. You got to see everything in the French Laundry.
Yes.
That sounds amazing.
I got the meal, but walking through that cellar, I was like, okay, I have to be this good. Because that's that discipline in me that's just like, I can't not be the best.
Thank you for watching Studio 22.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
And follow our socials at Studio 22 Podcast.